Good morning, everybody. You are listening to 4 Deep Sports Talk here on the news station, 1320 AM WARA, and we are now on the AACS YouTube page, so you can check our feed. Now, this is awesome. First of all, I am so happy to have my partner in crime back with me right now, Luce Cabral, who's sitting across the table. As you can probably see, this camera will zoom in on her in a minute. One of them will zoom in right now. I think that one's broken. It's looking at me.
You know, I really love this camera setup in here.
I do.
This is so state of the art, and when you talk into the microphone, the camera follows you. That's really interesting.
It really
I love
is.
it. Absolutely love it. So, hi everybody out there. How you doing during this pandemic?
So don't mind me. I'm going to put on the AACS website.
All right.
I'm going to see how we see if I broke the camera. But one of the things we want to talk about, and I didn't put it on Facebook, but it's about we're going to talk about the MIAA trying to start their fall season on September 14th. It's funny how level heads will prevail. I talked to a couple of my friends before I just came on the show, and if they're going to do that in-house learning, at-home school learning, online learning, there is no way they're going to have kids playing contact sports. Everybody would be home. I don't know how they're going to pull that off.
You know, a lot of it is contingent on the mayor and the governor.
Yeah.
We don't really know what's going to happen when schools open in September or the end of August. So it's going to be really interesting to see how the MIAA follows up with guidelines to have contact sports. And there's a lot of sports here that we're talking about, not only with girls and boys, but we're also talking college and professional sports. So it's going to be very interesting how boards are going to plan opening up sports.
Absolutely. So this came down on July 21st that the MIAA, in their ultimate wisdom, decided to try to get the season in. Push it till September 14th. So I thought I'd call on the spitball champion of the world to come on and straighten us out on his opinion, a grandfather, parent. You're not really a sports guy, but he still cares about what goes on in the community. So I thought I'd ask, the man, the legend, Mr. David Kane.
Please. Hello. Hello, you. It's only
Welcome,
me.
David. Welcome.
Hi.
It's great to see you.
How are you?
Excellent.
Good.
Excellent.
Dominic called and wanted me to come on. I had no idea, as I tell people. Last time I played baseball, I didn't even get a touchdown. So I'm not really good at this. Spitball, I'm good at. And now the MIAA.
Yes.
Missing in action, what?
Yeah, you got to explain what MIAA is.
Massachusetts
Interscholastic Athletic Association.
Correct.
Yeah.
See that?
Correct.
I did know.
So in the state of
Now,
Massachusetts,
what do they want? What's their problem?
So
What's going on?
their problem is they think they're pushing it. They're pushing the deadline for kids to work out and get ready for fall sports. This is on the 21st. They came up with this decision, and they're going to push it till September 14th. So by then the kids are back to school. I have a good inkling with the Bristol Plymouth Trade School that they're probably going to do in-house, at-home schooling until they go to the trades, and then the kids will come in for the trades. And I talked about the kids will be eating in the shops, not going to the cafeterias. So I just think this is more like a money thing, if anything, what they're trying to pull off here.
It could be.
Because no matter what happens, it all revolves around the dollar, one way or another.
Mm-hmm.
So I just think the Ivy League, Harvard, they're not playing. All those other big schools with money and
So
Right, colleges
what does
and-
the MIAA get? How do when you say it's the dollar, what do they get? Who's paying what?
I think us the taxpayers pay for it.
Okay.
I could definitely look it up in a second, but I'm pretty sure the taxpayers and the schools pay to be in the Massachusetts Interscholastic Athletic
Do
Association.
you think they ought to bounce the season?
I think they should bounce the season.
I agree.
I do. And you guys know I love doing this.
Oh, yeah.
I'm already
I do
asking
too.
Jim Jones when I can go out and broadcast the next Little League game.
Yeah.
When the next. But I had a kid, so to step back a little bit, I had one of my umpires do a game, and the team, a league we cover, and the president calls me and says, "Oh, the kid Wednesday night was sick. We just found out he came down COVID-19 and has a high temperature, but he's doing good." And I said, "Well, you know what? I'm not sending any umpires over there anymore." And now we got to change the system. Umpires call balls and strikes behind the pitcher. The base guy that watches the foul lines, if you can picture this, is behind the batter with the mask on. It's just getting too crazy. You know what I mean?
Crazy and different guidelines. I mean, from a parent's, point of view, I wouldn't want my 11, 12-year-old kid out there playing ball. The risk, I think the risk is just way too, too much.
Well, it's real simple. Years ago during the Vietnam conflict, the phrase was, "What if somebody gave a war and nobody came?" So what if the parents just said, "No, we're not doing it.
Right.
We're just not sending them home. We're not sending them in." No. That would be the end of it, wouldn't it?
It would be
I
a
would think so.
reimbursement. They'd have to pay the parents back. Just
Yeah.
like these glorified all-star leagues. They pay some. It's crazy. Some will pay $1,500 to have two different jerseys.
But that's what I just asked you. I asked
Yeah.
you where was the money coming from, and you said you had to look it up. I thought you meant...
No, I meant on another. I'm talking about the recreational side of it, like
Yeah.
in youth sports,
Yeah.
where this American AAU, it's a rec thing, and these parents pay up through the wazoo
Okay.
for the kids to play, just like
Yeah.
Little League or even Cal Ripken. I mean, the parents pay prior to the season starting.
Yeah.
So guess what? Now the parents got to get their money back.
So now you're at the parents, that it's the parents' fault then.
Yeah.
And so instead of talking to the MIAA, I think you should be talking to the parents and say, look, you're endangering your child's life. You're endangering that your child is going to be ill. You're endangering that your child is going to be sick and maybe have something that continues on after. I got an idea. Why don't you just say not this year?
Right.
Exactly.
That's
Which are what all the other schools are doing.
Yep.
Colleges.
So the MIAA is different than Little League and Cal Ripken and that
Local,
AAU crap.
yeah.
Yeah, that's all rec. They're in the bind because and they already signed these kids up to pay 3 months prior to stay on the same team they are, or try out for T-ball, or play T-ball, play minor league ball. But guess what? Now those rec leagues got to pay them back. Mm-hmm. Like that's what I would do. I mean, I know my daughter and my son wouldn't do it in a heartbeat, and their kids are brand new, like 9 and 5, that type of deal, 5 and 2, ain't
So
happening.
how do you get to these parents to say, look, because it's like the emperor has no clothes. Somebody has to be the first one to say, excuse me, I'm not doing this,
Right.
and I'm going to see to it that as many people as I can don't do it.
Yeah.
That's where the core of this is.
Absolutely.
It isn't.
It's in the parents' hands. It's not the MIAA. It's
say to
the parents.
Look, this is it.
Yeah.
Would you let your kids play in the street?
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
Why can't they play in the street? I mean, come on. It's a nice long strip of
swim in a
tarmac
lake
and
or-
really
yeah.
good.
Yeah.
You could put put a basket up in the park in the Union, and then up at the Union Theater. What a great game. Please,
Right. It's crazy. It is. So now that they're now on the rec side of it, not the high school side, now everyone has to go to the ballpark, has to wear a mask, which is right. And parents rebel. Well, I'm not doing that. Well, you agreed to it when we told you.
So there's just a bunch of dummy parents. Is that what we're talking about?
Some of them are. Unfortunately, some of them are.
But they want to see
know,
their kid play.
They want to see their kid play, but
and they pay the money to do that.
right. So now you got to police that as a volunteer running these.
Just feel like the MIAA is setting the guidelines for these people, are trying to accommodate parents to say, hey, you have to wear a mask. Hey, you have to come down to the field and park here. Or you can't be you can only be with your family to play. So they're putting all these restrictions in, rightfully so, if they want to see their kid play.
Right.
But then you get the other side of it saying, no, I don't want my kid to play. I don't want to get this virus. So what do?
You stop. you stop until you have better control.
Yeah,
over
it's
the
real
child.
Absolutely.
simple. I mean, you just say
Absolutely.
no. See if this looks like I'm saying no. You know, I mean,
But it's crazy. Some people just don't. They think their kid's going to be the next.
Oh yeah.
well,
Pedro
this has always been
Martinez.
the problem with kids sports for me. Now, and I know I'm in the temple of kids sports here, and I try to show respect. But it's always been the problem for me is these parents who are going to be able to fantasize about the career they never had by having a kid be good at it, and it's supposed to be him. It's supposed to be her. Well, my daughter is yada yada yada, and my sister, and my daughter's this tall, and my son is idiocy. My son Nicky. Played soccer for a very short time, and the only reason he played is because he looked good in the uniform.
That's great.
And
was
I
this
went
a
to
school?
a game. I
in
went
school,
to a game,
or
Huh?
was this a
What?
separate league in school or a separate?
No,
league?
it was separately.
Okay, so it's
And,
probably ASO
yeah,
or
it was, and he had what you described. I guess they paid. And Joanne wanted to have him in an hour. He wanted to do it. I don't know. I went to one game because that's how long it lasted. I went to one game, and a kid came off the field, and the mother started screaming at him
yeah.
and grabbed him and screamed. And I walked over and I said, "Excuse me, you want me to hold him down so you can?"
It's awesome.
You want me to hold him down so you can kick him?
Yeah.
And she looked at me. I guess I really scared her because I said it at a rather large volume. I mean, hello. You know, why are we here? You see the actions of these adults who aren't adults, but you see them, and the answer is very simple. You got to get. You got to get adults, parents, to pull their heads out of their butts and decide what's going to really happen.
Mm-hmm.
And you and people like you, Dominic, and you, I don't want to, leave you out of this. You guys need to be the people to say that's enough.
Right, that's what we're trying to do.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
But
exactly.
you need to. It's got to be online. It's got to be at Facebook. It's got to be any most outrageous place you can.
Yeah, I agree.
You've
I
got
totally
to,
agree.
And demand that one of these big mouth parents come on your show and defend it.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
Have them call in. Have them come in here and sit down and explain to me why your ego is so fragile that you're willing to endanger your child's life.
I agree.
That's a very good point.
You have
know,
a
lot
really
of
good
these
picture of your
parents-
child in the soccer uniform at his funeral.
That's
It's a
being-
very
that's-
good point.
yeah,
And
it's
a lot
very
of these
good point.
parents are living out their kids' fantasies there. Their
No, it's
own
their
fantasies.
not
their
the kid
fantasies.
The
yeah,
kids
through
living
their
out
kids.
their fantasy.
Through their kids.
Yeah,
Yep.
absolutely.
I see it all the time. Every
Horrendous.
sport.
And this is, our kids didn't have any interest in sports, as it turns out. But regardless of my fine example as a spitball champ, these people have.
I want to know more about that, actually.
But this is real. This isn't. Oh, gee, don't go on the roller coaster because you might get sick and throw up. This is real. This is a pandemic.
Mm-hmm.
This is a worldwide serious problem that people
agree.
don't seem to get. And they are willing to take the chance.
Mm-hmm.
That reminds me of an old Abbott and Costello routine. You guys are old enough to remember Abbott and Costello. And Abbott, the thin guy, the straight guy, would say to some big guy, "You can't do this." And the big guy would grab Costello and slap him a couple of times. Say, "What do you mean I can't do this?" And throw him up against the wall. And Abbott would say, "Ha! I'd like to see you do that again." And so these parents are Abbott, and they want to see Costello. Hey, Costello, you can put on the uniform, Costello. Go ahead. You play third. To hell with them. Play third. That's really what's going on
That's
here.
true.
It is.
Right?
It is.
I'd like to see you. I dare you to do that again.
All right, we are going to take our first break. We're happy to be joined by Dave Kane from Kane and Company, Dominic Damiano, Luce Cabral. We'll be back with more right after this. Hey, welcome back. You are listening to 4 Deep Sports Talk here on the new station, 1320 AM WARA, and online, all one word, 4deepsportstalk.com. You can listen to the podcast. We are now podcasting video on our home radio station, aka TV station, WAW. ACS, I say that right? I said it right. I finally said it right. I know I was going to get it right sooner or later. We get joined by Dave Kane. Did I say it wrong? I was right. Of
course you did.
Of course, right in front of me. Right? Joined by Dave Kane from Kane and Company, who we follow. Actually, we follow behind him. He gets the morning going.
They're the ones that clean up after the elephant.
That's
There you go.
Oh, there you go. You
Yep.
got it.
It's WARAradio.com.
Radio. Oh, okay. So there you go. I got to make
Yep,
sure you
4
get
Deep
that.
Sports Talk, 1320 AM.
Nice. So we were touching on, for people that are joining, first of all, I got to make sure if you want to call in and complain, or we would love to hear what you have to say, call in 508-222-1320. All right? If you want to call in and talk about what you think your feelings are. So again, we're touching on 2 things. We're touching on the MIAA coming out July 21st, about how they are going to postpone or delay the fall sports season till September 14th. The people that actually have the rights, I guess, to actually call the shots that report back to the governor, is Department of Elementary and Secondary Education and the Office of Energy and Environmental Affairs are the people that they call the big shots, I guess, regarding this. And that's Jeff Riley, the commissioner of, again, the Department of Elementary and Secondary Education, and he works with the Office of Energy and Environmental Affairs. So I believe they're speaking on behalf. I think they're speaking on behalf of the governor. Then they'll say, "Hey, Gov, if you want to try it, this is what we should need to do to get the fall sports going for the kids." But at the same time, I'm thinking, well, if they're already at home and they're not in school anyway, and then you got to have the spacing with the bus trips. So if you have a team of 20, you're going to need like 3 buses to have the proper seat just to go into an away game. You know, and there's all those other things, you know, social distancing. You know, kids can't take showers in the locker rooms anymore. They just throw their clothes in. So what do you do, put 10 at a time? Then wait for those kids to come out? You know what I mean? It's going to be crazy. So why don't you just wait till the pandemic is over? We get a better handle on it.
Well, before you even get to all of that stuff,
Yeah.
before you ever get to it, you just stop it. I mean, it's really simple. I mean,
Right.
you don't even have to have the conversation about logistics.
Yeah.
Because if you're not having it, it doesn't matter.
Correct. No, I agree.
So you just say no, no. You know, I mean, is Governor Baker, is he up for this? Does he want it? Or is this just the MIAA wants it?
Right now, it's the MIAA. Governor Baker said he's coming out on August 1st. August 1st is a Saturday.
Next Saturday, right?
Yeah, he's
right.
going to come out with his proposal of what he thinks, you know, what's going to happen. I mean, they got the rec leagues going, but I mean, you got these
But
volunteers.
the rec leagues are more controllable because they're so
Yeah.
local, you know?
They are, but you do have like that knucklehead I said before who showed up at the Little League game and decided not to wear his mask, and then then the president came down like, you know, everyone's going to shift and wear a mask. They got kids, like 4 kids in the dugout, the rest are on the stands, and they're 6 feet, you know, so far apart, you know. But they're playing. I mean, they're keeping the kids active, but I think it all comes down to a money issue. Where if you lose that, if you have these people prepay for the rec Little League or whatever, now if you get it, you got to give them their money back. If you say, okay, we're done, you know, it's not worth it, you got to give them their money back. Do you think they want?
So you give them their money back.
I totally agree. I just don't understand why it's such a, you know.
I would stop. I wouldn't even, consider it.
It's going to be up to you guys to make something happen.
Yeah.
That's what we're going to try to do. That's why we're starting right now.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Because I would hate to be the parent to go to a kid's funeral. I would hate that. What do they always say? Parents shouldn't bury their kids. Well, now you put them in a situation. Or the parents, even the older parents, you know, around our age, we're more susceptible to this disease.
And even grandma and grandpa.
Grandma and grandpa.
Yeah, well, Donna wrote a letter to the editor of the Chronicle the other day, Donna Sprague, and she was saying how, you know, we worried about kids going to school and getting shot while they're in a building in school. But we're willing to send them in with the opportunity of catching something that will kill them just as dead.
Right.
And I just don't understand the conversation. I mean, I just don't understand people want to feel vital. That is MIA afraid that someone's going to find out nobody needs them?
It could. They're already bringing in. On another note, they usually use their own format when they post games and scores and results. Now they have another entity coming in that's going to do that. All it takes is one way for the state to realize we don't need you anymore. There's a better structure here, the same structure, and we're going to save a crap load of money. And then the MIAA is going to be out of a job. You got guys over there making $220,000 a year doing this.
Well, I think a letter to the president there, pointing that out and saying not only are we up against it, we're going to do everything we can to stop it. And then guess who's going to figure out you guys are not needed?
Right.
So maybe you ought to stop it now before the conversation gets bigger.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe now is a good time for you to pull the plug before everybody gets together and say, wait a minute, this emperor is standing naked. He has no clothes.
Yeah. I'll tell you, I just makes me scratch your head. That's why I want to get your fresh perspective on it as an outside guy of what's happening now. Because you never know. One of your shows.
Well, it doesn't take me. I mean, I'm a quick study here. I'm I'm the village idiot. The village idiot is watching a blacksmith.
Yeah.
And he's holding a red hot horseshoe with tongs, and he's banging it with a hammer. And he takes the red hot horseshoe and he puts it down, and the village idiot picks up the horseshoe and drops it immediately. And he said, burned yourself, huh? He said, no, it just doesn't take me very long to look at a horseshoe. And that's exactly what this is. I mean, I don't know anything about kids' sports. I don't know anything about much of anything. But I do know that it's real simple. If you're allergic to something, you don't put it on or eat it. Right. And if you can get sick, you stay away from it.
Right.
And that's what these people need to protect these. They need to protect these kids. They need to protect them on a selfish level, because if you don't do it now, everybody's going to find out we didn't need you to begin with.
Yep. Exactly. And I think that's what's going to come down to I think that's what's going to happen.
And how do you say to your kid? Everybody's saying, "Well, my kid is going to be my child." How do you teach your child priorities? And you teach your child that tomorrow comes and there'll be another opportunity to play. And maybe this isn't your time.
Yep.
There's a reason for all of this. God knows if I know what it is. But there's a reason for all of this. If we had the option to make these choices, we wouldn't have to make these choices, because the situation wouldn't be as it is.
Absolutely.
But I can tell you that you don't get the option with your child, and you will never, if you've made a mistake, I can tell you personally that you will never forgive yourself.
See, that's the big thing I think about too.
Do the right thing.
Yeah.
My son Nick, and people know why my son passed in the Station nightclub fire, and he was just turned 18, and he didn't have a driver's license. He wasn't interested really in bothering to drive. He didn't care. He had people that would take him everywhere. And he said to me, Dad, he said that night, he was old enough to be in that club, but he'd say to me, Dad, I might need you to get me in, to bring me down as my guardian, to get me in or whatever. And I said, I don't think I said, you're old enough. I said, but if you do, I'll be glad to come. I'll bring you down.
Yeah.
And I am so glad that he didn't ask me to bring him down that night.
All right.
Because I don't have to look back and say, if I had only not brought him down.
Right.
And this is what these parents have. This is very serious. And these parents that we're talking about need to get a wake-up call and understand that this is a no-brainer.
Right.
Whatever you think you want them to do Tuesday, they can do a year from Tuesday. Hang it up.
Yeah,
Hang it up.
Exactly.
Hang it up.
And like anything else, delaying time. We're delaying everything here because of this.
Everything is stopped.
And so why not stop it?
Right.
Real simple.
And the other thing on the high school side now, the MIAA, some of these kids are getting either looked at by professional scouts, big colleges, right? And what happens, a great athlete comes to college, brings up the revenue, people want to buy tickets, they want to see what's going on, pro scouts want to look at them. But guess what? If you're looking at him going into his senior year, you're looking at junior year, unless he has or she has like an ailment that's going to she's still going to be. They're still going to be a pretty good athlete, even though they're missing their senior year. You know what I'm saying? They're going to
Well, the other thing is this. Here's the other thing: records and accomplishments and everything. All of this is going to go by the wayside because you're going to be able to talk to, say, a college, COVID-19.
Yeah.
I have friends of mine worrying about. They were worried about their credit rating, right? Oh well, if this happens, my credit rating is going to go down. Yeah, and you're going to point to COVID-19 and say it wasn't because I was a lazy sot. It's because I lost my job or couldn't work. I mean, so the people worried about records and worry about getting into school and worry about all that other stuff. If they've got all the stuff they need, they've got good academics, and they have a really good record up until a certain point, they're going to figure ways to be able to test them.
Correct.
Or put them. There's a lot. That's when you want to start thinking about how to do stuff.
Yeah.
Not now. We'll figure it out then.
right.
How we can give them credit for whatever, for not having a trophy because the game wasn't played.
Yeah.
Right.
Because
We'll figure it out.
I think the scholarships will still be there if they're offering.
Everything's going to be
Oh,
there.
Right,
it is.
exactly.
It's just
Everything.
delayed. Time is delayed.
Right, but they have to try to push the September 14th, get these kids in. I mean, I saw all the local channels. The kids were bummed out. I was bummed out for
Now,
them.
where is this going to take place?
What's that?
On September 14th, where?
All the schools can stop practicing.
In
All-
Massachusetts.
In Massachusetts.
Yeah.
Fine.
Yep.
Couple of nicely placed picket lines
There you go. Yeah, there you go.
of parents who get it.
Yeah, protect my kid.
Protect everybody's kid.
Absolutely.
Because if I protect yours, I'm protecting mine.
Right. Right.
I mean,
And I think that's what's going to happen. I personally think with the online schooling, no one's going to be at school, and then they're going to see how the numbers, because we're getting better. From what I understand, the numbers are going down. We're getting better. I think what's going to go down is they're going to say, the governor's going to say, he's going to scratch his head, talk to this guy on the right, talk to this guy and say, you know what? This ain't worth it. This really isn't worth it, like we just talked about.
yeah, it's a shame they have to wait until somebody comes to that. I mean,
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
we're sitting right here. We already got there,
Yeah.
right? Maybe we
I don't
should-
know.
Right.
All right.
I
so
think
we,
it's a last minute thing. Oh,
yeah.
go ahead.
No,
I'm
no, go
sorry.
ahead. What were you going to say?
No, I think it's a last minute decision for a lot of parents because they're doing that. They're waiting. They're waiting to see what everyone else is doing.
Yeah.
And then they'll make the decision.
Now
and
let
by
me
that
see.
time,
Let me
it's
see if
kinda
everybody
too
else
late.
is endangering my child's life. If they're endangering their child's life, well, I'll give it a shot too.
But the
That's a great thought
the
process.
MIAA says it's okay.
Yeah.
Right. Well, September 14th.
There you go.
All right. So with that being said, we will take our second break. Are you staying?
I'm going.
You're
I gotta
going?
go. My mother's calling me.
Oh, no.
Hi, Mom.
So, before we go on a break, I want
Yeah.
Dave, thanks for coming on.
Oh,
Appreciate it.
anytime,
Yeah.
anytime.
Appreciate
yeah.
it. Thank
Anytime
you.
you need information on something I know nothing about, I'm glad to help you. Anytime.
but you-
Okay, so
Oh.
a future show, we want to know what spitballs.
Oh yeah. Well, I was trying to think of something I was good at, sports wise. Spitball was the only thing I could think of.
That's Dave Kane from Kane and Company. You can. What are you? 9 to 11. You're 9 to 12, right?
Yeah. Thanks for paying attention.
You're welcome. Hey, you know what it is? It was. I was using a different. I was in another time zone. All right, we'll be back with more right after this. Hey, welcome back. You are listening to 4 Deep Sports Talk here on the news station, 1320 AM WARA. Lou Scaprol, I'm Dominic Damiano. We want to give a big shout out to Dave Kane from Kane and Company, 9 to noon. All right, Dave, I say I got it right. I want to thank him for taking a half an hour and coming in and, you know, even though he says, I know nothing about sports, but he's still a parent, grandparent.
Absolutely.
And it's good to get, you know, another perspective. That's why I asked him to come in. And again, I talked to some of my friends before the show, and you know, with the online schooling, they're probably not going to have it. But I just thought it'd be pretty cool to push the issue a little bit more.
Sure.
You know, don't be rude, but at the same time, you know, just tell them, hey, you know, this is what I think needs to happen. So now I was thinking about what we talked about on the phone prior to coming in. The governor of Massachusetts is putting a stipulation, I believe it's a stipulation, where if you fly in from and you're going to be in Mass, and you don't report it, it's a $500 fine. So that right there could tell you maybe he's thinking, well, if I'm finding these people, make sure they're quarantined, maybe it's better if we just play it safe totally together and just call it a day.
Agreed.
You know what I mean?
Agreed. And, you know, the governor, they don't know exactly how they're going to reopen schools.
That's exactly. Good point by you.
And so, you know, by the time that happens, I'm sure, you know, I know in Rhode Island they're going to reopen. There's going to be some that are going to be remote online, and some are going to be in the schools. Social distancing, moving desks around, plexiglass, the whole 9 yards,
Yep.
Which costs money.
Yeah, exactly.
Fewer teachers maybe, or I don't know how they're going to do that, but that's in Rhode Island. So in Massachusetts, you know, I'm sure they have a plan, but I think you're going to see a lot of these programs, music, art, sports, either go by the wayside because kids are not going to be available to play
Right.
on the spot, or figure out a way to do their hobby or whatever online. It's going to be interesting.
It really is.
And I still think it's going to be up to the parents to either do that or not.
Right.
But to your point, why not play it safe? And as a parent, yes, I would say, hey, colleges aren't having sports. Call it a day.
Yeah, exactly. I totally agree. So we have to wait until Jeff Friley, the commissioner of the Department of Elementary and Secondary Education in the Office of Energy and Environmental Affairs, gets the findings together to, I believe, if I'm reading this right, if I'm understanding this right, he is going to report to Governor Baker, and then from there they'll decide on August 1st what they're going to do with high school sports for fall high school sports. I mean, there was an excellent interview on one of the local stations with Bob Rogers, the athletic director of Women Hanson, and he mentioned, you know, that, you know, now that, you know, there'll probably be no more Friday, if it goes forward, there'll probably be no more Friday night lights, you know, football games. Each kid will probably have at least 2 fans, 2 parents, or 2 people in the, so they're going to limit how many people are in the stadium, right? The cheerleaders won't be able to do their tumbles and their jumping around anymore because COVID-19. So that hurts cheerleading. Then you have soccer. That's going to hurt soccer, girls and boys soccer. Golf, that could possibly hurt, even though they're kind of more or less spaced apart in golf. But still, there's always that what if, you know, that what if factor.
Oh,
you know?
always.
And until they get the vaccine, or I believe something to do with antibodies, you know, that antibody to fight the virus, you know, we're just in a tough situation. I don't know how in the heck they did it back in 1920 with the Spanish flu and all that other stuff. And someone, I saw it when it first came out, someone had like pictures of 1917 watching a college football game, college football game, and they had masks on, and they were all separated, but they're all watching the game. And, you know, it's like, I don't know. There's got to be more structure. There's more stuff out there than we're not being told, I think.
I know, I agree. Completely agree. I mean, who knows? what I really think is going on out there, there's a lot of indecision. And when a decision is finally made, people are going to find creative ways to get their sport rolling.
Right. And it's
You're going to
all-
see a lot more restrictions.
Absolutely.
And we don't know if parents want to go by those restrictions.
Right, and like I said, that Little League game where the president had to come and tell the parent to leave because he didn't want to cooperate with the ground rules in the ballpark about wearing a mask to watch a kid play. You know, you feel bad for the guy, but if everyone else is going to cohere to the thing because they, you know, they want to do it, then do it.
Right.
It ain't that tough, you know. You know, I mean, what was the? Now I had another point. I mean, in a perfect world, well, what I want to do is I want to get another high school team in here like yesterday and start promoting them. We're still working on last year's basketball champions, hockey champions. I still want to get them in. You know what I mean? Then I want to get the Little League champions in from all the surrounding towns, like we always do. I want it to go back to normal, but you have to try. You have to build. You have to put your collective thoughts together here and come with a constructive plan B, because it's going to be history. It's going to be groundbreaking history on how we move on from, you know, to get back into some type of normal. You
I
know?
think it's like that for everything we do because everything's so uncertain.
Right.
Bringing kids back in here, absolutely. I'd love to do that too. I'd love to have special guests on the show. I'd love to, you know, even go out there and broadcast games.
Right.
It's all indecision, and it's also how far you want to go with that. Do you want to comply with all the restrictions? Do you just want to go and not wear a mask or wear a mask?
Right.
It's completely up to you.
I agree. I mean, again, it's going to be a groundbreaking decision on what the new normal is going to be for
Exactly.
these kids to play tackle football, you know, all those fall sports. It's going to be unprecedented how they're going to try to implement everything, get it all together, and at the same time, I mean, we're doing our best, and a lot of people don't realize we're still here for these kids. We're still doing. I mean, at the time when I could come back in, I called you a couple times. I was doing self-interviews on radio interviews with these champions, which I, you know, I'd rather have them in there, but, you know, we made the best thing, you know, made the best out of what the situation was, put a couple pitches together, create a lower third. It was still our show, but it wasn't the same.
Of course not.
You know what I mean?
Of course
and I
not.
miss that. You know, and then, and now we'll tell people right now that are listening, that are jumping around the radio dial, you know, if there's if we have openings, my goal is to go out and broadcast the Little League games again, the championship games, not the All-Star games, because, you know, we want to hear all the young players out there, and maybe a softball game, a soccer, something like that. But, you know, people have to start reaching out to us as well.
Right.
You know, and that's kind of tough because, you know, we don't have the big commercial out on, you know, TV, on Channel 6, 7, whatever, Channel, you know, all those big stations. But, you know, we do our best to get our word out there and what we do, you know. I was just looking over at the time, sorry.
That's okay. That's okay. So are there leagues out there playing?
Youth leagues. And so...
Local youth leagues.
Local youth leagues. And so some of the ball players that, you know, the girl players are playing in the AAU teams, the softball players, the high school players are playing in these traveling AAU baseball tournaments, showcase they call them, and they're traveling around the country and traveling around New England, because from what I understand, once you leave, I think you go as far as New York, I think it's maybe New Jersey. Once you go that far, you come back into this region.
You have to
You
quarantine.
have to quarantine, and now they're gonna fine you. So, and
Is it worth it?
is it worth it? Exactly.
But again, like Dave was talking about, do you take that risk of having your kid play in another state?
Yeah.
You know, nip it in the bud.
I
mean,
agree.
it's dangerous.
Oh, I totally agree. So if you want to call in 508, I'm sorry, I only said it twice. 508-222-1320. If you want to add your 2 cents, and I should have put it out. That's shame on me. I try to put the show out there and what we're talking about, but I'm hoping to grab the audio file and just add some, well, hopefully I'll have Dave, I'll have the video file too, but we can throw some audio pictures in there, clean up this show, because we're still going to shout out the local access TV. We'll call it our complaint show.
There
No,
you
no, it
go.
wought be a complaint, right? It would be more of a mission. We're on a mission show.
We're on a mission, definitely. And also put it on the website. We are at WARAradio.com, where you can watch this on YouTube.
Yep, on their YouTube page. Yep.
Right, right.
Yep, just go what you just said, and hit the and we should be live. And I'm doing.
Yeah,
something
we're trying
wrong.
to find. I'm looking for.
Right, the same link.
actual live
It
video,
says we're
too,
streaming,
so- Okay.
you know what I mean. So I know we're good. Mm-hmm. Yeah,
And I can see the cameras moving around.
Yeah,
so-
I know. Right now, I'm kind of more nervous. I should start combing my hair more. God knows it's getting too long. Oh, hey, how's it going? But yeah, that was good that Dave came in, and I know Dave said he didn't. Dom, I really don't know nothing about sports. He called himself the spitball champion of the world,
But he does have children.
but he does have children. And he talked about his son, passing of his son. I could never, ever, ever, ever want to go through what that poor guy went through.
Oh, I know.
That's.
I know. His son Nick passed away in the Station Nightclub fire
Yeah.
in Warwick.
Unbelievable.
Devastating.
Oh yeah.
Absolutely devastating.
But we should have got Donna in here too, because Donna just lives down the road. We could have next time I think about it, maybe we'll bug Donna. We'll have her
Sure.
do something. But it was cool about Donna writing that letter. You know what I mean? What about, was it guns, right? Guns and the coronavirus or something like that. I forget exactly how Dave said it, but was it the guns? I think it was guns, right?
I think it was guns too.
Right. Oh my God! Excuse me.
It was an analogy about shooting being
Yes.
instant as opposed to getting the COVID virus and doing dying a slow death, so to speak.
Exactly. All right, we are going to take our last break. You're listening to 4 Deep Sports Talk here in the news station. 1320 AM WARA. You can listen to our podcast on our website. We are going to get the URL up on our website, so you can just, boom, see us in studio, courtesy of AACS, and of course, 1320 AM. We'll be back with more right after this. Hey, welcome back. You're listening to 4 Deep Sports Talk here on the news station, 1320 AM WARA, and our new camera angles, as if you're watching it here in studio. I'm still trying to get out of it, figure it out, get out of my own way here. But get Dominic Damiano, Luce Cabral. We are going to work and get the team all together. Catherine Conley, the sports master Justin Ferrara, and of course the technician himself, Alex Mayo. We do have something. I don't know if I can promote it here. I probably have to promote it on Facebook, so I won't say it yet. I'll make sure it's okay with Jim Jones. But we're talking about this COVID-19 pandemic and how the MIAA has, in their wisdom, has decided to delay the starting of fall sports till September 14th. They actually came out with that on July 21st. So I believe, from what I heard right, it comes down to the Department of Elementary and Secondary Education and the Offices of Energy and Environmental Affairs. And I believe, if I heard everything correctly, I believe they report to the governor, Governor Baker, and then the governor said he is going to come out on August 1st and have his final proposal of what's going to go on with high school sports. You know, on another note, because I don't know if the governor's task force, and you know, you got to give your hats off. You got to do as much as sometimes I know I pick on the MIAA for their playoff brackets more than it does. I don't think there's been one year that I haven't picked on them about how they do their brackets in high school sports. I don't think there's been one year that they haven't. It never made. You know what I mean? It seemed like it was unfair. You know. But I guess they have a task force, which I forgot to mention, and they're trying their best, because I think in their ultimate wisdom, nobody wants to see anyone die of this pandemic.
No, of course not, especially kids.
You know,
or have it spread throughout
the
entire leagues or
the team
divisions and whatnot. Right? Absolutely.
Because, you know, I was thinking that if it came to a Little League team, if little Johnny got it, you'd have to close down the whole team.
Close down the whole league.
Close down the whole, yeah, exactly. Mm-hmm. Or something like that, because you got to wait 14 days, and, you know, you got to see if anyone else is going to break out with this thing. Mm-hmm. You know, so it's kind of crazy on... I
just think the risk is so great. It is so great, especially in sports.
It is. I totally agree. And so Luce and I didn't twist her arm, because if I did, I would have heard more of a complaint. But we thought it would be a good subject to mention about, you know, got to be more realistic in how you think you're going to pull this off. And there's so many other factors coming in here. And I know kids get looking into scholarships and all that. I totally get that. You know, there's always comes down to the almighty dollar.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And with kids doing, I was talking to Jim Jones earlier too, and with all this online schooling at home, you're never going to get the kids out in the ball field.
No.
You know, you're really not. And then the other factor you have to take into consideration, let's say in a perfect world they come up with this great plan and it's working. What about the Triple E? Now you have Triple E. You're in the part of the season with Triple E. You know, Triple E is, I'm trying not to be a Debbie Downer. That's not my, anyone that knows me, I'm not trying to be a Debbie Downer. It's not my make. It's not who I am. But I'm just trying to get the word out there that they need to shut everything down. I
agree, completely agree. And parents really need to take a look at themselves, their egos, their kids, and say, hey, you know, is it worth the risk?
Exactly. Is it exactamungo? Is it really worth little Johnny or little Janice or whoever coming down with an illness like this? It ain't worth it. It's really not. You know, I mean, heck, maybe we'll. You know what? If things go worse, we'll just start covering. What's that beanbag game they play? Cornholes.
Cornhole?
Yeah, we'll start covering
cornhole.
We'll start covering cornhole. You know, live from Luce Cabral's backyard.
Well, the fine thing about radio is, you know, we can have guests in here, of course, spaced far apart, but you could also call in.
Yep.
and hear what people have to say about this pandemic and their feelings. So if you'd like to talk about this and voice your opinion on whether your kid plays intramural sports or any sport, call in to, what's the number?
508-222-1320. Absolutely.
Yeah.
But yeah, it just makes you scratch your head. And again, I don't mean to be a Debbie Downer. And it was good to hear Dave's, like Dave said, I don't know nothing about sports, but you're a parent. And again, thank you, Dave, for coming on.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just, I'm sitting there just scratching my head. How the heck are you going to pull this off?
Mm-hmm.
Well,
like I said before, I think the MIAA and other organizations are trying to figure out a way.
Oh, yeah.
Because they want the kids to play just as much as we do. But
Yeah,
there are
exactly.
going to be so many restrictions and so many guidelines and
Right.
so many stipulations that are parents going to adhere by those.
Right.
And it's like going to a restaurant. You have to make a reservation. You want to eat inside, outside. Restaurants are in the same business. 6
yeah.
feet apart, 8 feet apart, whatever. No more parties of 2, 3, 4, anything.
Yeah.
Like weddings that are postponed until the following year.
Jeff Fowler's typical example, his side business is a DJ. He's been
Right.
shut down.
There you go.
And he's not going out. He
Mm-hmm.
knows, he knows I'm not going out. I'm not going to go do a wedding. I'm not going to. Ain't worth me. Ain't worth, his father's is older and his father helps him out. He ain't going to do that.
Nope.
No way. He's
No.
not going to take the risk, bringing something home, possibly catching something, you're basically putting someone in harm's way.
Right.
That's what the biggest thing is. From what I could tell, from what I hear, you have a greater chance of putting someone in harm's way than, not in harm's way.
Yeah. Yeah.
So why would you want to go do something that silly?
Mm-hmm.
And again, the governor's going to come out on August 1st, make his final initial. I know he's probably going to call the MIAA, then go to the media, and then make it sound like, hey, this is what's going to go on. But anyway, he's going to come out with his deal on August 1st. His deal, I hope, is the right deal, and make sure that we smartly think about what we're doing here.
Mm-hmm.
But then again, he has some. You could see how the rec leagues are doing it. Well, it's working for the rec leagues.
Yeah.
What are the rec leagues doing? You're talking a whole total different animal now. I think so. And so, yeah, exactly. How you gonna? So, I'm just trying to be the devil's advocate here a little bit. We got a minute left. So, with that being said, before I forget, I don't know if I told you. So, I've been trying to grab the Canton Bulldogs boys hockey team and boys and girls hockey team, both coaches and their seniors, and the girls volleyball team that won the states. So I'm going to be shooting out emails. That's like a little program note coming up, down the line. So we got to get going. So I got to get some music going, and then we'll let you know. I promise we'll do a better job updating you on Facebook, on like something I should have done today. So for Luce Cabral, I'm Dominic Damiano. We hope you enjoyed this hour for Deep Sports Talk. As I miserably talked about this pandemic, and poor Lucy put up with me.
No, it's very interesting.
All right? Let me shake it. We will catch you next time.
Have a great weekend, everybody.